rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you and God's mercy and His blessings. My name is Muhammad Muslim and I'm going to tell you how I came into Islam.
Your name is what?
My name is Muhammad Muslim and I'm going to tell you how I came into Islam. I grew up in Sweden. I was born in the late 50s. I grew up as most people, which means really without much thought of religion. But as I got older, about 20, 21, I started thinking about what's happening around in the world. Everything seems to be just working for their own immediate gain and no thought about the future. And I started getting very concerned about how things are in the world. And without really having been particularly interested in religion, or rather I used to say that I was actively disinterested in religion, I started pondering over what's the meaning of life, what happens after death, etc., all these big existential questions. I started wondering and pondering, and during this process I suppose I became a bit aloof from my friends and the things that they like to do. And after a lot of thinking I came to a few conclusions. One was that there has to be one truth.
Why is it always people unable to cope with their own mortality
every person thinks
that turns religious?
That's true for him or herself. There
Every
has to
time.
be one reality. What this reality is, I had no idea. But I knew that as much that there has to be one. Maybe no one in the whole world realizes it. Maybe some people realize and some don't. I certainly did not. And also I thought that all these questions that are going round in my mind, they have only one answer. And this one answer will be so simple that 1 and 1 makes 2. It has to be simpler than that. But after this, it was as if there was a barrier. I could not get any further just by thinking and pondering and wondering by myself, as if I needed some outside assistance. There was a wall that I could not scale. Anyway, during this process, I also quit college for the 4th time, and I went to the north of Sweden where my sister and brother-in-law had a farm. They were trying to live original lifestyle. They used to call them the green wavers, like the green wave. There was a green wave in the 70s, people trying to get back to a more natural way of life. So they had this goat farm in the north of Sweden, living a very traditional, old-fashioned life. I went there to live with them and found a little cottage up in the forest on a mountain and started living there all by my own. Ever so often I'd come to my sister for some company and some food. And one day when I was sitting in my sister's house, this man walked in through the door. And he had a big beard, an enormous turban on his head. And it was something I'd never seen the like of. I had never really heard about Islam. If someone would have asked me, what is Islam, or who is Muhammad, what is the Quran, I would have had no idea what to answer. Anyway, this man came in and we started talking and chatting a bit, and to make a rather long story short, when I was going up to my little cottage in the evening, he followed me. Now this was near midsummer in the north of Sweden in 1980. And through this very short and bright summer's night, this man started telling me about Islam. I don't really remember what he said, but I do remember the impression that he left me with. I got this impression that this man, who was rather older than I was at that time, I was 21, he was in his maybe early or even late 40s.
Classic.
I was almost compelled to ask him that